Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I'm going to read some more of Krishna book, summary study of the 10th canto, and I wanted to take a look at something I've been looking at for the last few days. Sat Chit Ananda Vigraha. So I want to take a little closer look at that also. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. It's a couple rounds of chant. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I was just looking at some of the doorways and arches in this house. It was a do-it-yourself house, not me. I built other things, but I didn't build this house. Someone else built this house in the 60s, and it's a concrete block house, but it's a do-it-yourself house, and it's a funny little house. I mean, it's a funny little house. It wasn't mass-produced, that's for sure. And I'm looking at these openings, like for the door and for the walkway and stuff. Nothing is square, and you can see it. You don't even need, a tool like a level or anything to measure it. You can see it. It's off by like 2 inches. The whole house is like that, and the ceilings are very, very low. I'm 5'2", and if I stretch my hand up, I can touch the ceilings. So when people come in the house, they have to be careful not to bump their heads on the ceiling fan. It's a funny little house. And the doorknobs the doors have all been cut down because the ceilings are so low. The doorways are also low. And the doorknobs come up to like your hip, like just below your hip, and I'm 5'2". A funny little house. I guess you could say it has a lot of character. It was a do-it-yourself house. A funny little house. But it's very solid. Whatever wood they did use was from salvage, which means they salvaged from something that was very, very old, like built around the 1900s. And when they were building houses then, they used really, really hard wood. They didn't do the treated wood thing because I guess they didn't have that then, around the 1900s. So they were using very, very hard woods, gum woods, different kinds of woods. They weren't using like this pine, really soft stuff that you can, with a fingernail you can make an indentation. It wasn't that kind of wood. The stuff is hard, and it's very resistant to like insects and termites and mold and everything. It's very, very hard wood. So it's a funny little house. And I'm looking at these archways, and boy, they're all going like this. Hare Krishna. Sat Ananda Vigraha. Sat Ananda Vigraha. The Sat quality of the Lord is his eternal aspect, his eternity, his nature, eternal nature, Sat. And those who realize that feature, say they're Brahman realized. Brahman means spirit. So they're Brahman realized, they realize the eternal nature of the absolute truth. And then the Chit function is his knowledge aspect. He's all-knowing. He's all knowledge. Sat, eternal. Chit, full knowledge. And that, those who have realized Paramatma within every living entity, the Paramatma, the super soul, they have access to that Chit potency. And Bhagavan, Sat Chit Ananda, Bhagavan. Ananda is the blissful, joyful, ecstatic part. And that is Bhagavan, or Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda, Vigraha, and there's a form. Krishna has a form. Krishna, Sat Chit Ananda, all in a form, Vigraha, with spiritual senses. And because how are you going to have Ananda without, where's the pleasure without senses and feelings and emotions and experiences? So some transcendentalists, they kind of stall out at the Brahman level where they don't want to go any further. No, it's just all spiritual. I was looking at that, but it's kind of tricky because they glorify Brahman. They talk about Brahman. They analyze Brahman. They meditate on Brahman. They try to enter Brahman. So they're actually serving Brahman. So you can say, in a funny sort of way, they're devoted to Brahman realization. That's where their devotion is, Brahman realization. So Krishna tricked them again. They're engaged in service. Everyone's in serving Krishna. Those that are Brahman, focus on the Brahman impersonal aspect, they're serving Krishna because they're engaged in glorifying and serving an aspect of Krishna, and they don't have full realization. And then I was looking at the Chit potency, a realization of Paramatma within the heart of all living beings and within one's own heart, which opens up access to the knowledge feature, Krishna, Sat Chit, the knowledge, having knowledge of Krishna, knowledge of Super Soul, knowledge of Paramatma. So the spiritual master, I'm just looking at this, I'm not saying I have it exactly, I'm just looking at it. Is said to be a manifestation of Paramatma within the heart, the spiritual master. So that's the knowledge feature. The spiritual master is a manifestation of the knowledge feature of the personality of Godhead. Now that doesn't necessarily mean just, verses and quotes, and that means realization of Paramatma. That's the kind of knowledge I'm talking about. And then when that's there, then the other things, if they can be useful in serving Paramatma, or the knowledge aspect of the Lord, then they come. But it doesn't mean that, they're like an encyclopedia or something. Because if we look at acharyas in our line and we see spiritual masters, I love Gorkishore Das Babaji, because he holds a position that puts everything in perspective. The other acharyas, recent acharyas, they were all very learned and scholarly. And so it can be confusing that, oh, you have to be learned and scholarly. No, because we have Gorka Shore, that's Babaji. I take shelter at his lotus feet. Because he holds that position, he was illiterate. He was not scholarly. But he had full knowledge. How? Why? Because he was fully realized Paramatma feature of the Lord. He's fully realized Paramatma. So that kind of knowledge, but it doesn't mean that, it just means that you get that realization of Paramatma, then Krishna sends what you need to do whatever service it is that you're going to do. Because he's unlimited. What are you going to do with all unlimited? It's like overload. So realization of Paramatma, and you get service, and then the knowledge comes to do the service. Or something like that. Like I say, I'm just looking at it, because it's fun. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So it's safe to say the spiritual master is a manifestation of Paramatma, or the knowledge feature of the Lord. And that knowledge is not just like the bookie stuff, what page is it on? Not that, but knowledge, full knowledge, and realization of the Paramatma feature of the Lord. And then Sat Chit Ananda, the blissful part, the ecstatic part, that's the personality of Godhead, because then there's awareness of the reciprocation. Like, we worship a living God, okay? He's not like a two-dimensional figure. He's a living God. His energy is everywhere, in everything. He's everywhere. Can't get away from Krishna. But if you want to, he makes an arrangement so you can ignore him, and he razzmatazzes with his material energy, and you can be preoccupied with that and just make believe he doesn't exist. That's his kindness. Because you want to turn away. Anyway, I'm just looking at these things. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So if you want a relationship with Krishna, you have to have a relationship with Krishna. If you want to be Krishna conscious, you have to be conscious of Krishna. If you want knowledge, you have to surrender to the manifestation of his knowledge, potency, his knowledge, what do you call it, aspect, by hearing from a spiritual master, who's the manifestation of the knowledge aspect of Krishna. The teacher, spiritual master. But if you want a relationship with Krishna, want to develop love for Krishna, then you have to do that. You have to learn to love, reawaken awareness and attraction for Krishna, not somebody else. There was a nice discussion last night in how to get Krishna's mercy. One of the devotees in the assembly was asking, so how do you get this loving attachment for Krishna? I'm chanting And it's very mechanical. I don't have any, it's very mechanical. Now, I doubt that devotee was actually chanting mechanically, but he was asking the question because he wanted to hear it discussed. For his own benefit, as a refresher and an enlivening, and also because it was an assembly, it would open it up. So the question he asked was, how do you go from mechanical chanting to chanting with taste, with love, and with feeling and emotion? And then the discussion went from there to the position that was taken is just by practicing the science as it's taught by the spiritual master, then gradually you get there. There's first this faith, and then there's Shraddha, then I don't know how I should look at that. I suppose we're going to try and talk about it. But there are levels. In Archana Vritti, you get rid of unwanted, and then you start to get some taste, and you become firmly fixed, and then there's some. It's a process just by practicing the process as given by the spiritual master. Then they'll go through those stages, and then you actually achieve the goal: spontaneous, loving devotion for the Lord. You're in a relationship with Krishna. Realized. Personality of Godhead. So that was the position that was taken, and that is by the mercy of the spiritual master. And that's valid, and that works. And that's what Srila Prabhupada is teaching, how to do that. So then the discussion went further. It went into Raganuga and Vaidhi, and are they two separate paths? How do they work together? Do you need Vaidhi for Raganuga? And then it got all. So I tried to say something because I wanted to speak from my own experience. The discussion was kind of on the knowledge level, It's described here like that, it's described there like this, and it's described somewhere else like that, and this quote and that quote. It was all good. It was all on topic. But I wanted to say something from my own experience, which I'm not very booky or learning. I mean, a little bit, but not compared to the kind of discussion that was going on there. Everyone's very knowledgeable, chittable. So I just want to speak from my own experience. So I brought up the point that it's not by our own endeavor that we or make that kind of advancement for waking up getting to this Ananda stage, this blissful stage, this rasic stage, this Raganuga stage, where the chanting isn't just mechanical, but it has taste. So I tried to say something. What I said was, it's not by our own endeavor, but we want that. And then Krishna makes the arrangements. Krishna brings us into contact with who we need to learn something from. And we can get a lesson over here, a lesson over there, especially in the association of devotees. That's how we make advancement. But it's Krishna working through the devotees. Or sometimes it's a situation, it's difficult, or it's an embarrassing situation, and we really have to call out for Krishna. And then we make a connection that way. But it's Krishna making the arrangements, sending us who we need to hear from, when we need to hear from them, and what we need to hear from them. It's Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. So a point was made, it was a good point, that getting this mercy from Krishna to go from this mechanical, regulated kind of doing it because I'm supposed to do it, to, wow, now I get to chant. Oh, this is so cool. Okay, this is, an actual taste and enlivenment. The way Krishna's mercy comes is it's very personal. It's very tailor-made. It's not a one-size-fits-all mercy package. That could be said for the Vaidhi practice. It is one-size-fits-all. Okay, everybody up, Mangal Artik. Okay, everybody up, Guru Puja. Okay, everybody up, greet the deity. Okay, now you do this, you get this service, you get that service. Now everybody, that could be said to be a kind of one-size-fits-all mercy. But there's another kind of mercy that's very tailor-made and very personal. And the two are going on simultaneously. What is it? There's like two rails on a track going on simultaneously to get the train to its destination. So it's just some stuff I've been looking at. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Now let's look at something else. Let's look at Prabhupada, his Krishna book. I put my glasses on. Sometimes the spiritual masters compare to a pair of glasses, who can see better. Okay, Krishna, Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda. Woo! Whew. What a life! What a life! Krishna Chaitanya. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaridhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaridhari Yasodhanandana Visheshanarandana Yasodhanandana Visheshanarandana Ramona Thiravanachari Yamuna Thiravanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Jayam Vishnupad, Paramahamsa, Paravajikacharya, Asa Saraswata, Shriman, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta, Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Vanchikapata Rubyascha, Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vishabhyo, Namo Namaha. Prayers by Indra, the King of Heaven. Chapter 27, Krishna Book, Summary Study of the 10th Canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Jai Srila Prabhupada. When Krishna saved the inhabitants of Vrindavan from the wrath of Indra by lifting Govardhan Hill, a Sarabi cow from Goloka Vrindavan, as well as King Indra from the heavenly planet, appeared before him. Indra, the king of heaven, was conscious of his offense before Krishna. Therefore, he stealthily appeared before him from a secluded place. He immediately fell down at the lotus feet of Krishna, although his own crown was dazzling like sunshine. Indra knew about the exalted position of Krishna because Krishna is the master of Indra. But he could not believe that Krishna could come down and live in Vrindavan among the cowherd men. When Krishna defied the authority of Indra, Indra became angry because he thought he was all in all within this universe and that no one was as powerful as he. But after this incident, his false, puffed-up prestige was destroyed. Being conscious of his subordinate position, he appeared before Krishna with folded hands and began to offer the following prayers. My dear Lord, Indra said, being puffed up by my false prestige, I thought that you had offended me by not allowing the cowherd men to perform the Indra Yagna. And I thought that you wanted to enjoy the offerings that were arranged for the sacrifice. I thought that in the name of a Govardhan sacrifice, you were taking my share of profit, and therefore I mistook your position. Now, by your grace, I can understand. You are the Supreme Lord, personality of Godhead, and that you are transcendental to all the material qualities. Your transcendental position is Visuddha Sattva, which is above the platform of the material mode of goodness, and your transcendental abode is beyond the disturbance of the material qualities. Your name, fame, form, quality, and pastimes are all beyond this material nature, and they are never disturbed by the three modes of nature. Your abode is accessible only for one who undergoes severe austerities and penances, and who is completely freed from the onslaught of material qualities like passion and ignorance. If someone thinks that when you come within this material world, you accept the modes of material nature, he is mistaken. The webs of the material qualities are never able to touch you, and you certainly do not accept them when you are present within this world. Your lordship is never conditioned by the laws of material nature. My dear Lord, you are the original Father of this cosmic manifestation. You are the supreme spiritual master of this cosmic world, and you are the original proprietor of everything. As eternal time, you are competent to chastise offenders. Within this material world, there are many fools, like myself, who consider themselves to be the Supreme Lord, or the all-in-all within the universe. You are so merciful that without punishing their offenses, you devise means so that their false prestige is subdued and they can know that you, and none else, are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Father, the Supreme Spiritual Master, and Supreme King. Therefore, you have the right to chastise all living entities whenever there is any discrepancy in their behavior. The Father, the Spiritual Master, and the Supreme Executive Officer of the state are always well-wishers of their sons, their students, and their citizens, respectively. As such, the well-wishers have the right to chastise their dependents. By your own desire, you appear auspiciously on the earth in your eternal variety of forms. You come to glorify the earthly planet and specifically to chastise persons who are falsely claiming to be God. In the material world, there is regular competition between different types of living entities to become supreme leaders of society. And after being frustrated in achieving the supreme positions of leadership, foolish persons claim to be God, the Supreme Personality. There are many such foolish personalities in this world, like me, but in due course of time, when they come to their senses, they surrender unto you, and again engage themselves properly by rendering service unto you, and that is the purpose of your chastising persons envious of you. My dear Lord, I committed a great offense unto your lotus feet, being falsely proud of my material opulences, not knowing your unlimited power. Therefore, my Lord, kindly excuse me, because I am fool number one. Kindly give me your blessings, so that I may not act so foolishly again. If you think, my Lord, that the offense is very great and cannot be excused, then I appeal to you that I am your eternal servant. Your appearance in this world is to give protection to your eternal servants and to destroy the demons who maintain great military strength, just to burden the very existence of the earth. As I am your eternal servant, kindly excuse me. My dear Lord, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you, because you are the Supreme Person and the Supreme Soul. You are the son of Vasudeva, and you are the Supreme Lord Krishna, the master of all pure devotees. Please accept my prostrated obeisances. You are the personification of supreme knowledge. You can appear anywhere according to your desire, in any one of your eternal forms. You are the root of all creation and the supreme soul of all living entities. Due to my gross ignorance, I created great disturbance in Vrindavan by sending torrents of rain and heavy hailstorm. I acted out of severe anger caused by your stopping the sacrifice, which was to be held but to satisfy me. But, my dear Lord, you are so kind to me that you have bestowed your mercy upon me by destroying all my false pride. I therefore take shelter unto your lotus feet. My dear Lord, you are not only the supreme controller, but also the spiritual master of all living entities. So now Krishna is going to speak to Indra, and then Prabhupada is going to explain a little bit about Krishna's mercy. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, what a life. What a life.